So we're going to talk about Patreon because this is what I'm doing now. I've moved. A lot of my content is, you'll still see it. I'm still going to create stuff for, TikTok. But some of the hardcore stuff, the real stuff, the real meat and potatoes, as some people say, is going to be on Patreon. So if you are on TikTok, you're going to go on my link tree. And you're going to see the link tree on the top. It will say Patreon with a heart, and it will say join me on Patreon. So because there are certain things that I am creating, guided meditations. You may not get the music, but you're going to get the content. And because the music is here or there, and I really don't want YouTube to, remove it because I've broken rules or whatever. But long story short, I'm really navigating towards Patreon links that are only sent to Patreon. It's private links out of YouTube. So you guys can actually get some massive content, some pretty awesome content. My friend and I, Andromeda Flame, are looking to start classes. We've been talking about it for about 2 weeks now. And we just had a meeting with one of our wonderful co-creator who's going to help us with our website, things of that nature. But for now, moving forward, when I have a live, if you miss it on a live, it will be on Patreon. It will be for Patreons only. You've got various levels on Patreon. You've got $5.99, which gets you all the Zoom link. You'll be invited to Zoom talks. You'll be invited to stuff like that. If you go on a higher level, like I forgot you can go check it out, but there's a price point where you can actually get 15 minutes of reading with me, and you get all the content. You get the Zoom, you get the lives, you get certain special lives I will not upload for free on YouTube moving forward. I will make sure that it's on Patreon for my Patreon support group. If you're actually supporting me on TikTok, I'd like you to unsubscribe and subscribe to my Patreon, okay? And thank you for subscribing. All right. I am a twin flame coach. I'm a spiritual starseed coach. I've been working with clients and throwing tarot and doing psychic readings, Akashic readings, and hypnotherapy. Hypnotherapy, I've been doing that for the last 2 years. In terms of actually reading for people all over the world, I've been doing this for the last 30 years. Longer, but making a living at it, it's been about 30 years, and here and there. And I'm happy to say, that a lot of the reasons why I wasn't able to go out and come out, if you will, as a twin flame was because I was experiencing it. See, what I find interesting is not to put people down, but you've got to live the whole experience to then go back and talk about it. There are a lot of moving parts to the twin flame journey that I had to experience firsthand before I could actually understand what it meant. So I met my twin flame at 18 years old. He was 33. It was in the 1980s. And I'm not going to repeat my story again and again because it's kind of boring. It's not boring, but not to me, obviously, but it could be to you. Suffice it to say, separation happened for 27 years. My story, not your story. Don't make my story yours. And met my high-level soulmate literally a year after I met my twin. My twin was not a catalyst twin. This concept that you have a catalyst twin and then you meet your twin may be true for some, but they're definitely not true for everyone. You see, this is the problem I have with content creators, is that everything is cookie cutter bullshit. And that really irritates the fuck out of me, because then at that point you might second guess, oh, well, I didn't have a catalyst twin. I met my twin and then I married my husband or my wife. And what happened? Well, because you were asleep, right? You didn't know everything. You didn't understand the connection. And if you met your twin at a young age like I did, how the fuck are you going to compare, contrast anything? I knew, let me put it this way, the kiss that I had from my twin was bar none the kiss that I chased for the rest of my young adult life until we came back into union, and there was the kiss again that was replicated again. And again, at that point we became lovers. There are some content creators that have never met their twin. I'm not fucking kidding me. I'm kidding you. Kidding me. It's insane. There are content creators that they never met their twin. They've never kissed their twin. They've never actually talked about their soul connection. They've never had past life remembrance, or they've had past life memory, but they've never been with their twin physically. Like I'm talking about even having a simple cup of coffee. I'm talking about elbows on the table, eye to eye. Only that is, for me personally, problematic, because how can you coach someone who's had sex with their twin, who's been a runner chaser, who's dealing with a high-level soulmate, perhaps as a husband, a spouse, a wife, whatever, or a beloved or other partner, or who's never loved two people? Because it happens. You can actually love the person you're married to and love your twin. Completely different loves, but no different than, say, a mother or her father loves their children differently, but with this incredible passion and loyalty and this ability to just love. And people have this idea that you can only love your twin. That's crazy. The heart is much more expansive than that. And so you might be able to see your spouse. It might turn into a sibling love. Sibling love meaning you don't see them as your beloved anymore, not in that way anymore. Though you could see glimmers of that still erupting from your heart chakra and your root chakra, of course. But with your twin, it's all encompassing. It's a love that just expands, explodes inside of you, but with the same breath of life that it gives you, it also takes the breath out of you, right? When you're going in separation. So I'm going to be very blunt. I am known to be very blunt. There are too many content creators promising you the moon. And that's insane. No one can promise you union with your twin. Why? Because you have free will. And your twin has free will, which you can't mess with. So you'll have people promising you spells and all kinds of insane shit that you really shouldn't even dabble with at all. Because it's a big no-no in the spiritual, in the universal laws of balance. Okay? Do other starseeds on other planets go against universal law? Yeah, of course they do. They do, no doubt. But is that good for the long haul of your spirit, of your soul, of your connection, specifically with your twin? Yeah, it doesn't bode well for you. In other words, what you're doing is increasing the separation even more, because you're coming from a place, or a person who does that is coming from a place of separation and lack and fear and greed. Not good. None of this is good. Is it hard to see your twin with another person? Yes, especially if they're asleep. Yes, or they're addicted and they're asleep, because addiction will make you asleep. So there's a lot of moving parts to the twin flame journey. A lot of content creators will say things like, well, if your twin is toxic, right, then it can't be your twin. It's a false twin. There are many moving parts to the twin flame journey. One of the things we all agree on in the spiritual community, who are for real twin flames and twin rays, because one of my partner who's going to do classes with me is a twin ray. Okay, we're both in union. Number 2, then that's big. That's big, because I don't understand. Let me ask you this: would you take hair advice from someone who doesn't have hair on their head? Would you take advice from someone who is celibate and who's never been with a lover to take tantric advice on? It makes no sense to me. It just doesn't. So at the end of the day, use common sense. When you rant and rave, which you should, because sometimes you need a sounding board, you might need a therapist, hopefully a spiritual one, and there are a lot of wonderful therapists right now who are totally spiritually online. The beautiful thing is, if you've got good insurance, you can actually Zoom. Just find a good, I don't care if you live in California and they're in Texas. If they're a good therapist, my God, just use Zoom. I'm not kidding. You don't need to be on their couch physically. But there are a lot of beautiful spiritual therapists. We found one for my son. Actually, my son found her. She's amazing. She's spiritual. She's non-judgmental. She's fantastic. And he moved out of California, and they're continuing their therapy through Zoom. Okay? So find someone you can have a good sounding board with, or if you have a good couple friends that you can rant and rave, go ahead and do that. You're going to need that. You're going to need a team of people to support you, who will not judge you and make you feel as if there's something wrong with you. And typically, it's good to have sounding boards with other twin flames. Make sure that they're in a balanced place. Make sure that they're spiritually aligned. Make sure that they're in the ascension path. Make sure that they are transcendental. Make sure, Because if you have an angry twin, a pissed off twin, and to be honest with you, sometimes when Andromeda Flame and I talk about twins who supposedly say they're with twin flames and they're mad at their twin, angry, spiteful, vengeful to the family or whatever of a twin, we really doubt they're in a twin flame journey. We would actually call that something out of like a Basic Instinct movie, like more like Obsession, right? Because typically what happens is you will get angry at your twin, but it won't last. It'll last maybe a month, maybe 2 months, but then you will collapse into realizing that you can't stay very long angry to your twin. It's impossible. And that can be quite frustrating. So when you're looking at, content, like, I'm not saying if you don't like my content, you're welcome to look at other content, but please don't look at content that's going to sugarcoat your energy and your frequency and is going to feed your monkey mind, your false ego. Look for content, and thank God more and more I'm starting to see people who are realizing, as twin flame coaches, that you better not talk about everything you need to do to come into union with your twin. Now more and more they're talking about coming into union with yourself, which makes sense, right? Because you are your twin, aren't you? You get that, right? It just happens that your twin's in another body, right? And you're in another body. So you're separated by a body. Then you're separated by consciousness, right? And environment. And the foundation of how you were raised in this particular incarnation and past incarnations, right? So it's no wonder, right, that people are in separation right now. Now, there is some weird promises again that 2024 will be the year where many of you come into union. For some that will be true, for some that is not true. Why? Because not everyone's going to be in union at once. Think about it. I mean, really logically, like, sit down and think logically. Okay? We're not, it's almost like saying everyone in kindergarten is going to go to college. Well, no, because some people won't start kindergarten until next year. Some people are past kindergarten, they're in middle school. Everyone is at a different level of spiritual understanding and their spiritual path is different. And there's nothing wrong with that. Some of you, honestly, have just started your twin flame journey. You just started a year ago, 2 years ago. And many of you are belaboring the journey already. It's only been 2 years and you're like, fuck, I mean, when will we be in union? Wrong question. Why aren't we in union? Correct question. What is it that I'm not understanding about what I'm not healing in myself? You might say, well, I've done all my healing. And I would say, bullshit. None of us. I'm still healing. We're all healing. When somebody we love passes away, something else emerges that we need to heal, that we need to look at. Okay? When our twin triggers something in us, a sense of abandonment, a sense of betrayal, it's a samskara, which in Sanskrit means impression. It could be a reverberation from this life, but remember, you chose your parents based on the frequency of your consciousness that might have been choosing parents that would create a system of environmental challenges that would bring you, right, to look at and work out things in past lives you were never able to look at in other past lives. Does that make sense? Does anybody have any questions at all on this? So there's some heavy stuff that I want to start sharing with people, and I can't really do it on any social media and without being censored. Okay, and it's getting to the point where my work and what I share is like all the rudimentary shit that you need to know is on my TikTok. It's all there. Just check it out. Go from all the way to the bottom. If you haven't seen my dog and you don't know what my dog looked like, you haven't gone far enough into my content. Let's put it that way. If you've seen my dog, if you've seen my mom's dress, if you've seen my cat, if you know their names, then you have gone all the way down to my content and you've gone all the way back up the staircase of my content. At that point, you need to be a Patreon supporter, because the content moving forward is going to get way deeper, and we're going to go into the weeds. And then we're going to have meetings on Zoom where we could have up to 100 people meeting and talking and sharing their experiences, and where we would answer the questions me and Andromeda. Sometimes it'll be just me, and answering questions on particular problems that could help the collective. And some of the questions and some of the shit that you guys are going to want to talk about is so hypersensitive that, one, it shouldn't be on a social media platform like any platform on a live. That's like insanely inappropriate. But two, it might be really sensitive information about intimacy, about trauma, about whatever, where a Zoom would be better. Does that make sense? So there's different levels that you can look at on my Patreon, which is right on my link tree on my TikTok profile. It says Patreon. It has a red heart and it says follow me. Hard to stay angry at your twin because we also get strongly emotionally tethered to them. Exactly. Thank you, Canary. Exactly. So there's a lot of false information that honestly, I'm sad to say this, okay? Because when I started realizing, because when was it? My twin told me, he sent me a book on Brian Weiss in 2008, and he had it was like a love letter. Basically, he took the book and wrote little notes on the side margins and so forth, and basically told me that we were soulmates, because the word twin was not really bandied about, okay? There was the concept of twin souls, soulmates, right? And for some reason, people have this idea that soulmates is only like your lover, which is completely false. But I'm pretty sure you guys already know that. With that said, he sent me that book, and then and then suddenly he told me about the number 9. Which, if you don't know about the number 9, I highly urge you to understand how 9 is the master number. There's a lot of numerologists that make me laugh because 11 and 22 is considered a master number, and it really isn't. It isn't in the way you think. These two numbers are very hard numbers, very hard. One's taking on karma, which is 22, 4, and 11 is the muzzle lion in Kabbalah numerology. And now I could say, well, Kabbalah numerology is shit and it's wrong. But to be honest with you, when I do readings for twin flames to find out, is this a twin? What is this? What's your karma? What are the numbers? What are the numbers saying, right? Whenever I meet an 11, they have not had an easy life. They have not been able to really follow their truth. Usually, hopefully, what softens it would be your birth, the day you were born. And the day you were born would give you an out, if you will, a softening of the edges of what 11 really entails, which is a shit show. I'm going to be straight up with you. However, the 11 can turn into 2, and 2 is still confusion. In Kabbalah, that's the moon. In Tarot, it's the high priest. But the average 11 I've even met 11 where they were born on the 11th day and their life path is 11. That is a 4. And that's taking on karma, by the way. That's actually a volunteer on the side note. And what's interesting about that is that those two, because they're taking on karma, remember the story of the Little Mermaid, which is my favorite parable for this particular process of understanding of taking on karma. It's not easy because you lower your frequency. You've got to take on karma, to incarnate. Okay, when souls come in who do not need to be here, they volunteer to come help out. They're not avatars yet, right? But they're still in what you might call, how would we call that? A frequency that's a match to 3D if they want it to be. But let's say they're in 6D, right? They have to lower their frequency to 3D to come here. You realize that, right? They'll come in remembering a lot of shit. And unfortunately, if they're in very, very difficult environments, they will develop massive amnesia, which will develop depression, right? They won't feel like they belong. This is a very normal starseed thing, which I tried to talk about yesterday when I was shut down by the powers that be. But anyway, with that said, the concept of the 9, look up 9. Okay, so when I realized that my twin was my twin, how did I come to realize that? Well, intimately, after intimacy, I would have flashbacks of past lives from ancient times. I'd already started having past life remembrance of us on other planets, and I knew it was him without even, in fact, we'd been in separation for 27 years, and then in 2008, we got back together on the phone, talking, sending each other books, letters, gifts, this and that. And then we had a fallout, and honestly, I didn't have the time to deal with bullshit. I had my son to raise. I didn't have time So don't take being shut down by a twin as they're not interested, they don't understand, they don't desire you. That's not the case. That's not the case. Sometimes the case is that the your twin has a soul contract with their children, or I hate to say, their spouse or parent. There's a parent dying or sick or sibling, right? So don't take it don't take it personally that they're running from you because they don't fucking get you. Some of them get you and they realize, listen, I have a lot of shit on my plate. I can't do this. Like, I can't do this. Not now, not yet. I've got a lot of stuff to tie up. And my need to tie business up took 6 years. So in 2014 is when we came into physical union, okay? And at that point, what happened was that I started seeing numbers. Now, the whole time that he lived in this particular town, which the area code is my birthday, I had never realized it until one day I had what we call a aha moment, a download, a aha moment. I was like, wait the fuck. Then I did my numerology, not just the day I was born, right? The day, the year, and the month, to see that my number was the day he was born. Then I did my name, my maiden name, and I went, oh my God. Then I did my married name with my maiden name, and there we go again. And then I went down this rabbit hole, and together we went down that rabbit hole and realized we were twin flames, because everything that he was, his numbers, mine, we were all, just the numbers alone were telling us a lot. But what was also telling us a lot was this connection that, in some sense, both of us wanted but didn't want, especially when it was getting hard, especially when we were triggering each other. There was this push-pull dynamic that him being an alpha male, me being an alpha female. Can you imagine those two in a room? Both of us earth signs. Him, Taurus of the ass in his chart. Me, Taurus, Leo, Gemini, Scorpio. Holy fuck, right? So it was quite a shit show. But we couldn't separate. Now you might say, well, that's codependency. My twin's not codependent at all. So it wasn't him that was codependent. And I've been raised in ways around the world, not to brag, but to say, where I would let go of friends, situations, schools, this, effortlessly. So my way of connecting was, I'm loyal when I'm loyal, right? So I'm not going to go into the level of my loyalty, but I had been more or less raised with a foundation that could let go of places, things, and people. I'm not kidding. I'm just effortless. So, but once I connected with someone on a deep soul contract level, like my mother, my father, my brother, my son, my husband, so all soul tribe members, some on a higher level than others, like my husband, way, way high, and my son in the same level of connection, and my mother, believe it or not, and not so much my father in the end, it turned out. But what I will say to you is that there was something that he didn't understand that had him coming to me and wanting to leave. Sometimes he would say, I don't want to love you. I don't want to love you. And I understood that. Okay, so let me see what else. So long story short, when you go into these unions, right? When you look into, say, your twin not wanting to love you, especially if it's an alpha someone, I don't care what the gender is. Some alphas really don't want to be codependent. You might want to call them attachment avoidance, personality, whatever. I don't care. You come up with all kinds of labels you want. But everyone's a little more complicated than these labels. The labels help us more or less determine a periphery of a person's behaviors, right? Some aspects of it, not all of it. And it doesn't give us full credit for understanding the wholeness of a human being. And so when someone says they have an attachment personality or codependent, whatever, it's all good. But there's certain soul connections that draw that out of you. Either one, by the way. And some of these soul connections are reverberations from losses, from fear of being attached. I mean, imagine, just put yourself in the movie Titanic. So Jack has just died. Rose has lived a life. She passes away. Now they're born in 1995. Let's just give them, they're both born on the same year. All right. Now it's the 21st century. Jack has a memory that things didn't go well. It's kind of like, it's not an actual memory. It's a feeling in his body. It's a feeling, a shaking in his soul. He feels a connection with Rose, right? They lock eyes across the room. And they go through this pull that draws them to each other so that they can have the first initial meeting and understanding who they are to each other through, say, intimacy. Let's say they become intimate, they become lovers. And suddenly there's an explosion where both of them go into separation. Jack and Rose, when you look at the movie Titanic, you can actually script out what's going to happen in the next incarnation. Don't think for a second that it's all going to be happy roses. The ending of his life was traumatic. Okay? He was protective of her. So what will happen with Rose in the next incarnation? Well, Rose would be massively beholding to him. And she would want to take care of him. And he might be the bum. I'm sorry, he was a bum artist, where he was a cutie pie, but he was a bum artist, where he's a bum. He was drawing, he was doing his thing. He still wants to do that because his life was cut short at a young age. He still wants to be an artist. He still wants to be free. He wants to be detached. He wants, all of these desires are still there because he didn't complete a full lifespan, right? That would be a desire of a soul, especially a soul from that period, okay, to come back. And so he meets Rose, and it's like he wants to be committed to her, but yet he doesn't. There's a part of him that realizes, and he can't put his finger on it, the last time he put himself aside for her, it cost him his life. Do you see how this would work out? Now imagine this scenario played out for 2,000 years. So let's say in 2,000 years you've had, I'm going to lowball the hell out of it. You've had 100 incarnations. That's all you've had. And out of that, you've had 50 incarnations with your twin. Okay? Again, lowballing. Imagine what would happen. Because in the ancient world, life was brutal. We had some wonderful times. We were like, I know of a few incarnations with people that I love, my high-level soulmate, where we were farmers. And we had a wonderful life. It was simple. Nothing happened. There was no trauma. It was all good. So on that end, it did happen. But for the most part, let's be honest, it was pretty brutal. You can look at every ancient movie on ancient history, from Gladiator to Kingdom of Heaven, and you kind of get the drift that shit wasn't too easy. So things ended for people abruptly. The average age of a person was 30, not because they were disease ridden, but because, shit happened. So with that said, imagine now, it's the 21st century. And maybe you have met your twin recently, maybe in the last 2 years. And don't get caught up with, is it possible that I met my twin and it's the same gender? Is it possible that I met my twin and I'm in my 50s? Yeah, it's possible. Of course it's possible. Everything is possible. There is no cookie cutter. There is no, you have to meet your twin at 18 or else it's not your twin. Well, guess what? We had an age difference. My twin was 15, damn near 16 years older than me. Okay? Not everyone's story is the same story. It can't be. Thank God it isn't. It's not A Wrinkle in Time, folks. If you've ever read that book, A Wrinkle in Time, if you remember, where every other planet or reality was homogeneous and everyone was the same. Yeah, that's not us, thank God. Okay? So let's not play like the Twin Flame Journey is a cookie cutter example, and that if you're not a Barbie and you're not looking like a Barbie, and that's not then that's not your story. If that's your twin, he wouldn't be an addict. What? If that was really your twin, he wouldn't be an addict? Really? Where did that come from? Who came up with these rules of engagement? Now, thank God in 2014, as I was saying, I started seeing the numbers. Things that had been sitting in front of my two eyeballs for decades suddenly showed me meaning. Can you imagine me seeing the zip code and, the area code of his phone for decades? And it never computed. That's how the veils work of amnesia. That's how it works. It's really incredible. That's why for some of you, it's so painful to see your twin in 3D, and you're waking up going, what the fuck am I can't do, I mean, when is this person going to wake up? Honestly, I don't know. I don't know when they're going to wake up, because it could be, I'm going to give you a theory that I've thought about for quite some time, theory/download, is that quite often they're asleep for as long as you need to wake up fully wake up and self-realize, then they wake up. I've seen that happen. With my twin, he was 4D, which means he believed in reincarnation, he believed in mantra, he believed in meditation, he believed in vegetarianism, he believed in star seeds, other planets, other beings. All of that was like, yes. It was a hell of yes. But what he didn't totally understand and believe is, like, part of him had one foot in the twin flame camp, and the other part did not have that energy. Does that make sense? Oh, hang on for a quick second. That energy. Does that make sense? Oh, hang on for a quick second. Flash of light is like the light in the delivery room. And hi, how are you, Double T? So that's what's kind of going on, okay? Sorry, I have my son was asking me a question on text, and I had to ask him. So Men in Black showed us how the amnesia is. I see. I never saw Men in Black. I'm going to tell you, it's interesting too. I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to ask you guys if you've ever experienced this. Thank you for all the love, by the way. So if you want to join me on Patreon, let me just pitch this, and I need to, okay? Because I'm not sure how far this TikTok's going to go, okay? We have been threatened again and again. But on the side note, yesterday I was having a very benign live, very benign, okay, about something we all need to hear about, and I was shut down. You probably saw my post on that. So I'm pushing Patreon. Some of you are already subscribed to me on TikTok, and I'm asking you to cancel your subscription and to move that subscription to Patreon. And here's why. I'm asking you to cancel your subscription and to move that subscription to Patreon. And here's why. You're going to get where I'm going to move a lot of I'm still going to do content on TikTok until the last breath of TikTok on American soil. Let's put it that way. However, there is very intense stuff that I can't, it won't be approved on TikTok, okay? I've gotten to the point where I need to do more intense content, more brass tacks about intimacy, about how to navigate that. So, as you know, Andromeda Flame and I are going to be doing classes. You can look at my tiers that I've set up on Patreon. One tier is for 15-minute reading, 1.5 every month, and it gives you access to a text question per month as well. I believe you just look at what I've given. I put it up, but most importantly, you'll be invited on our Zoom calls when we talk. It's good if you're a twin flame, aka also starseed, to have support. Okay, to have support. And my bottom line on my Patreon is $5.99. It's affordable. It's the price of a fucking, I hope you're not going there anymore, but anyway, a Starbucks, a cappuccino, a frappuccino. It's the price of that for once a month. So if you want to really go into the weeds with the twin flame journey, then that content is going to be there, because I've tried to upload certain videos that I wanted to share with you guys for free, and it was flagged and not approved. Okay, just so you know, it's not like I'm coming up with this out of my Yahoo. It's happening already. So, because we're adults, you're not 12, and you can listen to what I'm saying about certain things. I'm starting out with some very soft energy, but very intense new information that I have with a particular client, and it blew my mind. I had to sit with that for a week or so. Spoke to Andromeda about it, and we both agreed that, yeah. I mean, the client agreed too. The client was like, holy shit, yeah, that's my story. That is a mind blower, because that flips the whole twin flame story about union and merging as one. It actually puts it... There's a lot more to that story. And the main part of what we're not getting in our twin flame journey, I'm not going to say more. If you want to listen to that, there's a part 1 and part 2. It's on Patreon. But suffice it to say that some of the shit that we've been taught by a lot of content creators is wrong. And again, and the reason why is because just like for many of you, it was very hard for you to realize that you could have more than one twin flame. And you're thinking Jack and Joe or Jill and Josie are different people. They're different egoic frameworks. It's like going to 2 different temples, but both of these temples have Krishna on the altar or have Yeshua on the altar or whatever, right? So the essence of the soul is still exactly the soul's truth. It is that being, right? The ego is different. Some egos, right, are rougher, more alpha male, more alpha female, rougher, tougher. Some egos are softer. But the souls that embody, the soul that has decided to split itself, to experience itself in different personas, to put itself in, I'm going to say it straight, in harm's way sometimes, to learn how to come out of it and transforming the energy through the lens of different egoic perceptions is really important. It's really, that's why quite often you and me, okay, will have concurrent incarnations. Well, what if that concurrent incarnation is a potential love interest? Hello? You get where I'm going? Yeah. Okay. But what if your twin has a concurrent incarnation, right? Because it wants to experience itself, and those 2 concurrent incarnations are opposite of your gender. Or one's same gender, the other one's not, and you can't figure out why you're in love with a woman and a man. You can't. You're like, or whatever. I'm trying to like make sure I cover all the bases so no one feels like that's not a possible their story. Because you see, the problem is, I remember when I first started this channel, I had, homosexuals coming at me going, why don't you talk about same gender twins? You're making it. And I was like, wait, hang on. I never said it doesn't. So I finally did a video, which Obadiah and David reposted, that said, fuck yeah, of course. Hello? Well, whoever said that wouldn't be possible? It's not even, of course it's possible. As a matter of fact, I have done a couple lives where I've talked about how the fact that I've had clients who were quote unquote straight all their life, which again is a joke. None of us are fully straight. What does straight mean? Or fully gay? We've all had different incarnations of male, female, male, female, again and again and again. We've made love to women. We've been love to men. Hello. Of course we're going to have bisexual desires. And I'm using the word bi because what else am I going to say? But it's what really blows people's mind. And I've had I can think of up to 5 clients who have come to me saying, I thought I was straight. Well, you are straight. You just met, if that was you. You fell in love with the same gender because in this same gender, it lies your twin flame. And you were easily able to move out of, hopefully for some, out of this idea that love had to be heterosexual or else it couldn't be real. And that's quite something for some people. It can actually, in fact, I think that's the whole point of why it happens sometimes, because people need to actually step out of their idea of what love is packaged like. So suddenly you're into a certain type, right? Or you want to only marry or be with your religion. I want him to believe in my God, your God. You mean God, right? In that name that you call, right? Okay, so, and that limitation of thought will actually then set up a situation, right? You would have talked to your guide before you came into this incarnation going, I'm really dogmatic. Like, what the fuck? I'm really dogmatic. I'll tell you what. Why don't you guys come in the same gender? Sorry, that was me. Why don't you come in the same gender? And different races. And different religions. Let's really throw in some shit. And oh my God, yeah, let's make one of you an addict. That should really make it interesting. And you guys come in incarnating and boom, it starts. And that's what's interesting about this concept of how twin flames are packaged. They're not packaged to make you comfortable. They're packaged to totally throw you off your comfort zones for the right reasons. All the wrong things for the right reasons. You know what I'm saying? And so when you're going through the twin flame journey, one of the hallmarks actually is different races, is different ages, like 20 years, 25 years, 15 years, like mine's 15 years. You could be same age as well, by the way. But what would really trigger people around you would be for a woman, I'm just going to say straight, even though that's fucked up and it's totally unbalanced and it's unfair, I get it, you're preaching to the choir, but for a woman to be 15 years older than her twin. Absolutely. And that happens a lot more than you think. And vice versa. And 20 years. And you just add the, years. It does happen. It's not always lust. Okay, they're not always there for their money. In fact, some twins, there's no money. They're not rich. The whoever's older does not hold the gold coins. Okay, it has nothing to do with that. And so it makes other people around you uncomfortable. Good, they should get uncomfortable. Why are you uncomfortable? Why would you judge that? There was a twin flame couple called, and I'm not sure they were twin flames. Okay, I'm just going to say that because I can't say they were twin rays. But they were the love couple. They were called Love. Which is an amazing name. And they were a biracial couple. Beautiful couple. The man and both of them were gorgeous. And they fell in love in the South. I think it was the Carolinas. And the shit they went through, there's a movie made about it. There are wonderful pictures, iconic pictures of them. You can see it's a soul connection, my friends. And they were going through massive shit in this country to be together. And they stayed married till death, until death. So for the 1960s, 1950s, during the Jim Crow era, these two souls would have incarnated to say, we got some shit to do. You come in as a black woman, I'll come in as a white man, and we're going to shake shit up. In the South, no less. That's twin flame shit. So you really need to, this is not new. This is not new age. This has been going on on other planets for hundreds of thousands, if not millions of years. And some of us who were twin race fell. Some of us fell in Atlantis. Some of us fell on other planets. I'm not joking. There's been wars, right? Galactic wars. I hope you know that. There's been genos on other planets. There's been all kinds of fuckery. Just because you're highly, like you're in 5D, 6D, 7D, doesn't mean you're a good person, a good soul. I hope you realize that. It takes a lot more. So the goodness of your heart, right, once you're a good person, it really doesn't really transcend itself too much into fuckery in other, as you go into ascension. You're not going to regress. Can people regress? I'm thinking about that question. I don't think the regressions are for long. I think regression in a spiritual journey is more of cynicism, of a lack of wanting to trust anymore, of being so disappointed in how things are that a person would regress. Like saying a person has been an atheist all their life, and then suddenly they discover spirituality, and they're meditating, they're having downloads, everything's going well, and then a horrible thing happens to them or to someone they really, really love. Something horrible. And they're like, wait, hang on. I did everything right. What the fuck is this? And that could send someone to a temporary regression where the person is regressing because of pain. But eventually, when that is handled, either by dropping their bodies and speaking to their guides and really realizing why this loss was necessary, they come back into their full light. Does that make sense? It's a test and should be able to balance. Exactly, Evelyn. So, to me, when you look at the path of the twin flame. When you look up the couple Love, just look up Love, the Love couple, biracial marriage, Jim Crow. Just look that up, and that should give you a lot of. You'll be blown away, because that's a twin flame story right beneath our noses. So, any questions or comments? Any questions or comments? I want to thank you for being here. So if you want content that is going to be brass tacks, bare bones, real shit, that I can't unfortunately post on TikTok, nor on, then go on my Patreon, and you'll be able to have access to the Zoom calls that we have. You'll have access to massive content that is going to be about a lot of things that we can't talk about. And those links are only for my Patreon. So, and there are various tiers that you can look at, to support me and to support what we do. Me and Andrama are going to be doing classes as well. And the classes will be Zoom classes, which if you miss the class, if you're a Patreon member, you'll get a discounted. In other words, whatever you pay for your Patreon will be deducted from. Some of you, depending on the tier you choose, won't even have to pay for those classes, if you sign up. And that's going to be for this year, for 2024. That's going to be what we offer. Okay. So, twin flame exists, but it's much more than romance. Yeah. Twin flames what happened with the Love couple was much more than romance, but it was, you see, you got to keep looking at what is the carrot? The carrot is the incredible chemistry. It's the locking eyes across the room, across the beach, across the whatever. It's the recognition of the soul. It's the sexual desire that is the carrot. And then comes the heavy work. And most people don't get that. They don't understand that all of that was the golden carrot to lure you in, to remind you of who this person is. And desire, romance, makes people, it's not like we haven't been taught, right? Through history, have we not? The face that launched 1,000 ships. You can't tell me there weren't better looking women than Helen of Troy, right? It was a soul connection. It had nothing to do with her face. It was a soul connection. Okay? So that's what we need to do. But there is union, though. It depends. Some people are so in their ego that there is no union. I'm going to be straight up. I'm not going to lie to you guys. Some of you guys are so in your ego that you think that you being in bed together is union, and you're missing the point. You can be in union, and there are twin rays right now in union, and one's in Peru and one's in Japan, and they're not in separation because they want to be. They're in separation because they have work to do. They have soul contracts with other souls they have to meet. And there are separations because they have to be where they are. One's in Peru, one's in Japan. And they talk every day. Some of them talk 4 hours a day. Every day. That's true union. Union is not a flex being in bed with a twin. That's not, unless there's that kind of connection and commitment and understanding. There are people that say, oh, well, we've been married 50 years. Yeah, but you've been celibate for 20 of those 50 years. Celibate, angry at each other, quiet, not connecting, reading the newspaper at the breakfast table, not looking at each other, watching TV, not holding hands, not having eyeball to eyeball intimate conversation about what needs to be healed, how much you mean to each other. I quite often, when people say, oh, I've been married 50 years, what does that look like behind closed doors? That's not a flex. A flex is couples that meet and they are adult enough not to be so codependent that they need to be under the same roof to get shit done. That is a very codependent thing to say, I can't be in my mission unless I'm with my twin. That's insane stuff. That's insane. That's not what it was ever meant to be. You're supposed to be in union or not with your twin, get incredible upgrades because of the activations in your life, other souls, other people, and your twin. Of course, your twin as well. Massive activation with your twin. There's no doubt. But you've been getting massive activations from multiple people. challenging activations, things that made you second guess, right? Certain things about your worthiness. But I want to tell you something. When you go into these activations with your twin, no one in the universal etheric field is saying, oh, well, she can't go into you. She can't go into you. She can't, let me rephrase it. She can't go into mission without her twin. In fact, part of the soul contract with your twin is to start going into mission without your twin. It's actually part of the agreement before you took on these incarnations. Well, I'm talking about twin flames. I'm sorry, let me read you from the beginning. There is union, though, from the heart. Yes, well, I'm talking about twin flames. But those don't spark only through Kundalini. That's not true. That's not true. I wish people would stop with the Kundalini, because most people don't even know what they're talking about. Because when you really open the Kundalini, if you really open they say my Kundalini is fully awakened. I'm like, bullshit. Because very few people can take that kind of massive upgrade in one gulp. Kundalini awakening is spoon-fed to you, just like every aspect of your ascension is spoon-fed to you, or else it can harm you. Do you understand? It can be so much. Read The Doors of Perception by Aldous Huxley. Read books on people who actually know, some of the old guard, some of the old gurus and yogis and yoginis who have written about Kundalini awakening. And it's a levels. There's levels to that. Levels to ascension, levels to awakening, levels to Kundalini awakening. There are levels to it. Or else, in fact, if you ever read the old, some of them are actually, no offense, smarter than the ones here, because a lot of the ones talking about Kundalini are parroting. They're parroting it. Whereas these people were meditating for decades before they were writing their books. And that's why you do it levels by levels by levels. I've heard people who say, I was born with my Kundalini awakening, and then I'd see their behavior with, say, hunting animals. I'm sorry. What? You can't hunt an animal and tell me you've got your Kundalini awakening. Maybe you're going to call me judgmental, but that's not a Kundalini awakened person. Because once your Kundalini awakening is completely awakened, let's say you're one of these avatars. Let's say you're there. Just let's assume. Death is no longer part of your game in any level. If it has a face and a heartbeat, you're not touching it. You're not eating it. You're not putting it on your plate. But I don't care if you are. You're still going through your process of ascension. But a person that's fully awakened would know that. It's part of the journey. If you even talk about other starseeds on other planets, there are some planets where they eat, flesh, and you can see their consciousness on that level, and they're not exactly people you'd like to hang with or get on their ships, to be honest. And there are those who are high crystal energy, and that's not even part of their consumption. Just being honest. So I've seen a lot of people bandy that word, and it's almost like a cappuccino. It's actually, there's really very little awe to that, and it should be a sacrosanct experience. And it is with twin flames. But with twin flames, it's a drip by drip with twin rays. Now we're talking something different. And so let's not confuse twin rays with twin flames. Those are completely different consciousness of ascending understandings. Twin rays, can you get there? In one lifetime, absolutely you can get there. But let's not confuse the two. It's like confusing a PhD to a sixth grader. Good luck. There's no comparison. None. And if you want to be kind to a 12th grader, let's be kind to a 12th grader, to a PhD in a spiritual concept of ascension. Not the same. And twin rays are PhDs in 3D, just to make sure you understand. Does that make sense? If it doesn't, I totally understand. Animals has nothing to do with Kundalini. Oh, animals have a lot to do with Kundalini, because how we treat planet Earth and animals and how we treat every sentient being has a lot to do with how you open your Kundalini. And people who don't understand that are not awakened on that level. Tell me what to do on Kundalini the first time. No, because that's not something I'm going to talk about in a live, because there's too many points to that. Just like I wouldn't tell someone to do certain things that I know work, because the wrong people would get a hold of it and use it for the wrong reasons. Because energy has incredible power, and it can heal or it can harm. And that includes Kundalini. So the Kundalini awakening, one of the things that many twin rays experience is a Kundalini awakening through the root chakra, through intimacy. And in fact, many twin rays, one of the things that happen, not all, okay, but many twin rays within a 24-hour to a 72-hour meeting come into intimate union, sexual union, is one of the things that happen. It is, and it shocks them, because they're like, wait, I'm not like that. That's not me. I don't just pick people up and do this. It's not, well, what the hell is this? I know 5 twin rays, and all of them have reported that. And many of them, one of them, to be honest, was a tantric yogini. So I would say it was a little different. But the other 4, yeah, they were very, very funny about intimacy, and it shocked them that they were just connecting at the root chakra level. And many of them, that was an awakening. For twin flames, it's spoon-fed over time. The awakening happens over time for the right reasons, okay? And it's important that people understand that some aspects of awakening, you've got to be patient. Again, read The Doors of Perception by Aldous Huxley. And this has nothing to do with Kundalini, by the way. It's about actually getting downloads from the universe, and how incredibly intense it could be, and how it can be temporary, and then the portals close. The funnel of the brain closes. So once you understand how you get downloads through the universe, and how Kundalini can open itself up, not just through intimacy, by the way. There are many yogis who've opened their Kundalini on their own with absolutely they're celibate. Okay? So there are multiple ways to do it. But how to do it, I would say, look at the old masters, the old, buy books from the 1920s and 30s. Find those books. There's a wonderful author who was going by the name of Radha. She was an initiated. I think she was American. But anyway, I don't have all her books. I have to get them all out of storage. But the point is, I bought almost all her books. One of them is Kundalini. And her name was Radha. And so, look it up online, Kundalini Radha, and then look up who else was her contemporary, who taught her. Hello, who taught her? Where did she learn this? And then read that person, and then go on and start, and then you'll start realizing how most of these guys, women, there's always a little bit of a warning to it. Okay? It's kind of like you don't just take ayahuasca on your own. You don't take bufo on your own, right? You know that, right? Because it can actually harm you unless you have good facilitators or a good shaman or a good. There's certain things you shouldn't do alone. There's certain things you shouldn't hurry up. There's certain power ceremonies that you better know what you're doing, or else you can actually create massive repercussion to yourself and to others, most importantly, and to others. Now, I wasn't talking about current yogis, Evelyn. I'm not here to fight. If you don't agree, it's all good. I'm not into going back and forth. I'm not talking about yogis. And if you've never followed me, then you'd know that I did me and Andromeda talked about twin flame universe and cults and fake yoga. So it's almost like stepping into a conversation in the middle of it, but not realizing that the person started the conversation with a preface. So what I will say to you is that if you feel comfortable with what you've had and what you've experienced, who am I to tell you you're wrong? I would never be so bold and crass and rude to say that, because I actually don't know you at all, nor would I, even if I did know you, because those kinds of experiences. You see, a lot of people are born in these 3D bodies, and there's these impressions that we are all the same, and we're not. And some wonderful, powerful souls, like that I can tell you, like my son, he's a very wonderful, powerful soul. He's still uncovering who he is. But I would say that there are some wonderful old teachers that we should read, and there's some old teachers like Aleister Crowley, for example, that I would never read, ever. So you got to be discerning. You got to ask yourself, what am I looking for? What kind of light? What kind of frequency? And so forth. And people will continue to learn. My respects to you as well. I'm going to stop and let you know that you have no clue, but keep researching. Okay, I'm going to stop and let you know that you have no clue, but I have more than a couple clues. So that's funny. But anyway, again, I'm not judging you, but you're judging me. And I find that interesting. But again, to me, a person who has a Kundalini awakening would not be arrogant. That's another sign. Arrogance has no place with those kinds of powerful ascensions. It has no place there. You know what I mean? I don't need to read. I have been in a Kundalini path with a TF. Okay, then you shouldn't be a TF. Because if you're really, really doing the work, then you would be a twin ray by now, and you would not be in separation. And if you are not in separation, right, then you should be teaching. Does that make sense? So that's what I would say. Because to me, arrogance is a testament to a problem. And some of the yogis, some of the gurus, Twin Flame Universe, other ones that are out there that are claiming they know everything and they've done everything and they've only done it with one other person. You know, it's me against the world. It's my twin against the world. Yeah, that's the wrong attitude. It's not helping, because we're not here for us. We're not here for the nectar. We're not here to just open our kundalinis just with us and our twin flame. We're here to open this power, to open portals on the collective levels so everyone can get awakened at their pace for the right reasons at the right time. And until you know that, then you would not have made the comment that you made. That's all I'm going to say. That's what you need to know. And yes, when you say it has nothing to do with animals, it has everything to do with animals. Because if you don't respect everything on Pachamama's beautiful body, if you don't respect animals, insects, the clouds, the trees, the tomato that's growing in your plant, if you are not giving reverence to the fucking teacup in your hand and who grew that tea somewhere in the world and the water that is infusing these tea leaves, if you can't come connected to all of that, how in the fuck are you I'm just saying. However, if that's your experience through your lens, then that's your experience through your lens. But I can tell you what it's for, what it does, and how we should be using it for the greater good. And it's funny, I was watching a content creator, he's rich and arrogant, and you know how they're all talking about how a man wants, and a high value man, and anyway, he was talking about how he wants a woman it's him against the world. 12,000 years of toxicity on the masculine and feminine. If we keep seeing the rest of the world as our enemy, right? If we keep constantly trying to up on another human being, then we will never ascend and escort this beautiful planet and its sentient inhabitants to 5D. It's never going to happen. So when we start understanding of the Ubuntu philosophy, if it hurts you, it hurts me, which is again the 100 monkey theory on inventing tools and so on, which if you don't know that, you should research that, the 100 monkey theory. I use it all the time in these lives because it is what we're supposed to do. I remember doing an ayahuasca ceremony, and one of the things I said in integrating the medicine in our talks was to say, I know there are millions of people who will never drink the medicine, never. But when I drink this cup, I think of everyone who is getting the benefit of what I'm healing. In other words, they may not need to drink the cup, but I will. And knowing that as I drink the cup, and this is for all of us that have done certain ceremonial things around the world, things that many of you are learning that you know other people will never learn because they don't have the money, the time, or even the awakening to seek it out. But what you're learning is teaching others in the 100 monkey theory that is going to benefit the collective in the awakening. That's why when the sacred masculine who is wounded or broken starts waking up, it starts healing other masculines. This is what I told my twin. I said, you must get better. Because in getting better and getting right spiritually, you're helping men you will never meet. But as you get in your power and getting in your balance, you're going to help people you'll never meet just on the vibrational frequency in the etheric field. And that goes for the feminine as well. When I heal, you heal. When you heal, I heal. So that's also why it's good to read. Because we can never actually think we know everything. It's why many of us who are psychics go into the Akashic records, to actually pull down information that we've long forgotten from ourselves, from the guardians, from the Galactic Council. You think I go to the Galactic Council telling them I know fucking everything? I go to the Galactic Council when I'm in meditation in obedience, in absolute rapture that I am so blessed that they would actually think I'm good enough to meet. Because they don't meet with everyone. But they meet with people who are really there to help others. And so we need to stop thinking that it's us against the world. So it's not me and my twin in the world. It's me, my twin, and everyone involved. All the twins, all the rays, all, you know what I mean? We're here to raise the frequency of this planet. And that includes the kundalini of this planet, by the way, on the side note. And when we do this work, and we respect all sentient beings, and we protect all sentient beings, regardless of what the sentient being is, then we finally get to understand what Pachamama, Mother Earth, has been trying to tell us through her tears for centuries. That's true Kundalini awakening, because Kundalini awakening is also it's a philosophy. It's awakened within you, and you become on a higher consciousness. Your philosophy about what you thought was important no longer is, and now new levels of importance and understanding come into play. It's like, I'll give you an example on a fashion level, right? Which you'll hear with many vegans. Many vegans have leather bags and leather shoes from way back before they became like 20 years ago. But they're not going to throw them away. Because, you know, the leather bag was their mother's leather bag, so they keep it. So you'll have vegans who will go from having eaten fish and meat and this and that to becoming vegetarian. Then they become vegan. Then their whole what they buy, how they purchase, how they recycle changes, right? So their philosophy, the way they see themselves in the world and how they impact the world has completely done a 180 based on a couple moves on what they consume. Isn't that ironic? In their bodies. That's what's interesting about conscious awakening. And again, I'm not here to judge anyone on that level, but I will not be judged, and I will not ever let someone wipe their feet, dirty feet, on my welcome mat. Never. I will always rebut, because at the end of the day, we need to self-advocate. So when somebody says to me, I don't know about Kundalini, I'm like, fucking girl, I think I knew about this shit at 17. Were you born? And there's no way. I was reading this shit when I was 17. Where were you? Don't tell me I don't know what I'm talking about. I know what I'm talking about. But there's certain things I won't fucking put on public, because there are people that will do the wrong things for the wrong reasons and don't think they won't. Okay? There are some massive powers that we can actually transmute, and suddenly what was impossible becomes possible over fucking night. Don't tell me I don't know what I'm talking about. I know what I'm talking about a lot of shit that you and some would consider magic. It's not. It's energy, frequency, intention, and focus. And it can be very scary. And that's what people need to understand. So when you learn things, sometimes it's a good idea to pause and go, I just learned, am I ready for this? Am I ready for this? Will I use it with respect, reverence? How will it affect other people around me, those who I love, who love me, who actually depend on my wisdom? Should I use this? How shall I use this? How will it benefit? Can it harm anyone? How will it harm any? There's all kinds of questions about not just Kundalini is not the fucking all of it. There's all kinds of different, what we could call magical methods: frequency, alignment, ascension, awakening. So, but anyway, it's always interesting. Let me see what else. Let me see, because I'm never here to really. I rarely argue with people, but bloody hell. Anyway, let's see here. If she wants to stay closed-minded, that's telling all in itself. No judgment. I'm here to tell you to keep researching that, which is why I pulled back. Okay, enjoy. All right, you're right. Enjoy. You're judging, saying she's wrong when she's not wrong. You may be right for you, but she is. Right to her. Ego must be gone to be awakened. You're right. Reverence for all life. Exactly. I will come back 6 months and see your path. We'll talk later. You have a good day. Evelyn, I don't want to see you again. You the arrogance, and I'm looking at your profile and it doesn't look good. So we're good. Goodbye. Yeah, I don't let people. Yeah, I honestly, folks, you're not here to convince someone that the sky is blue if they're taking something that makes the sky orange. There's no point in that. It doesn't even matter. What matters is this. Your Kundalini awakening is your personal business, and it is your experience. And whatever level that you get, it will be spoon-fed or tablespoon-fed to you, whatever you're at, for your own highest good. And that you have to trust. But at the end of the day, all of you are being awakened on that level, just so you know. All of you. And I want to get more into it with Patreon, because then I could talk to you about root chakra, if you know what if you get my drift in code word, root chakra, you get what I'm saying? But I can't right now. Not to mention I can't do it here. That's not going to work. Don't bother coming back in 6 months. Beautifully said. Divinely all one. Your response is divine, wise, and filled with love. It's trying to, but honestly, I do get pissed off. I get pissed off because I get irritated, because there's always someone that's going to come in and really understand their understanding of something. And I'm not saying that I'm not walking on water. God knows. I've got my own shit. I'm dealing with my own shit right now. Like, you wouldn't believe the kind of challenges I'm dealing with my beautiful twin and him being incredibly ill. And I need to get on Patreon already. Well, I just posted a video on Patreon on the 1st, and I'm going to get more hardcore, more and more. I can't wait to meet you again, Tony. Oh, you're so sweet, Lovey. That was a great session we had. A really beautiful session. There's been times I've been told you're not ready, and others when I say no, I'm not ready. Yeah, it's something that you have to determine for yourself. Sometimes people say to you, you're not ready, and you have to ask yourself, is that true? Don't just feel it. Your ego is going to feel like it's been slapped, which is okay, right? It's not okay, but it's, there it is. But ask yourself, where is it coming from, this you're not ready? Is it coming from someone else who wants to suppress you? Because don't think just because someone's a quote-unquote teacher, guru, whatever the fuck they're going by, that they are intelligent enough to understand what is good for you. So the best teacher would say, do you think you're ready for that? That's really the question. Do you think you're ready for that? And a really good, centered, balanced person who wants the best for their ascension is going to say yes, confidently, yes, or, you might be right, and start backpedaling. And there's nothing wrong with that. What's interesting, just so you know, is that when you're ready, you'll know. You'll be hell-bent. No one can stop you. When I did ayahuasca, and I told my shaman what I was going through, what I wanted to experience, and so forth, I think you guys know, but I was like tear filled. I think I was like 3 hours or 4 hours into the journey of ayahuasca. I got up to get my second cup, and then she looked at me, and I nodded my head like fiercely through. I mean, I gave her an eagle, like eagle gaze, right? Like, yeah, I got this. I was like fucking just my makeup running, my mascara running. I could feel it. And then I went for my third and last cup, and she wanted to make sure I'd be okay, because I was under my blankets, like no one could get to me. Just and I never do that. I don't sleep under my blankets ever. And anyway, so I went through the journey, and yeah, I needed to do that. By the morning, by 6:30 in the morning, me and my little shaman buddy are taking selfies of each other, her and I together. I have no makeup. It's cleaned off. It's like I never had any. I look like I'm 18 years old. Like insane, like the clarity that came from that journey. So, but my shaman's job was to make sure, right? She was looking at me like, are you okay? Are you sure you want a third? Are you sure you want a second? Are you gonna be okay? That's a good shaman. And so a good healer, psychic, mentor, spiritual coach, whatever, is gonna say, well, I don't know, are you ready? Do you think you're ready? And if you say, hell yeah, I'm ready, who are they to fucking stop you, right? That's what needs to happen. So the Patreon's on my link tree. So you go on my profile page, hit my link tree, it'll be the top link. It's on the top. And then there's my book, Recall, which I think is the third or fourth link. If you want to read Recall, it was banned by TikTok. And it's funny too, I'm not going to send you stickers. I love these books that they're selling. They're beautiful. The covers are gorgeous. I think my cover is really beautiful, actually, to be honest. I love that cover. But my cover is not gold and scintillating, and I don't have drawing inside the pages, and I don't have, but the layout is gorgeous. My guy did an incredible job. There's the Ankh, the flower of life. The Ankh symbolizes 3,500 years ago, and the flower of life is the present. He did an amazing job. But I'm not going to send you stickers and little wrappings and this and that to sell a book. I mean, to me, it's the content of a book, right? Don't judge a book by its cover. It's the content of the book, isn't it? That's important. And that's what's important, right? So let me finish up, okay? So at the end of the day, there are some things that you can look at. I think the twin flame story in Recall the book has a lot of meat and a lot of intensity and a lot of toxicity that you probably will recognize. Unfortunately, I wish I could say no, but there's certain things that you're going to recognize and in it, right? Thank you for all the love. And then from there, you'll be able to sit back and go, wow, okay, more downloads. Usually books give you downloads. That's why it's good to read. Because when you read, you'll go, holy fuck, and you'll pause. Have you ever done that with a book, whether it's a self-help book or a fiction? You're like, you pause, you're like, and then you go back and you read it again, like, what's the, holy God, and you're getting more downloads and clarity. Good books do that for you. Good, like, sections of it. And for some reason, my book, Recall, and I think it's the way it's formatted, present, past, has made people actually remember their own past lives. Like, it's elicited some kind of portal within them to get activation. I guess it activates, because I've heard this for too many years, because I've released the book. I had people reading my manuscript before I ever did anything, and they were telling me the same shit. So I sat there one day going, what? I don't understand. It's not the great American novel. What the fuck is going on that it's eliciting people remembering? And then it hit me, oh, it's the format. It's the way it's formatted, the way it's put together. So you have the present, chapter 1, the past, chapter 2, chapter 3, the present, chapter 4, the past. And that must be doing something to the brain, I guess, where, boom, at some point, it just, something opens up and people just get downloads. All right, my loves, I will post this on YouTube. And don't worry, I will post this. When I do lives with Andromeda Flame, this will be on my Patreon. When I have guests that are important, I will start posting those lives on Patreon. I want those people who are following me, supporting the channel, to get gifts. I want them to get I thank you, so they have a portal to certain things that are not accessible to the rest of everyone. You know, I hate to say it, but I really want to cherish you. Many of you have been very supportive of me in multiple ways. You've subscribed to my channel on TikTok. Many of you are subscribed. Please unsubscribe and just move your subscription to Patreon. Let's do that. And then, you know, again, go on my YouTube channel. You'll get a lot of free lives. All the lives are pretty much there. I'll continue doing guided meditations. I've got to do some. I had some very long guided meditations that I couldn't upload on TikTok because they're over 10 minutes. So I'm going to upload those on the Patreon and start doing that. Oh my God, you're so sweet. I adore you too. I love you. Thank you. Sending you much love, guys. Thank you so much. My son's here now, and see you. Take care, Tony. Thank you, Polly. I try to be in an understanding mindset, especially in difficult situations. I can still do better, though. Just don't be hard on yourself, Mars 210. Don't be hard on yourself. You're doing the best you can with the environment you've been given, with the situations and tools. Try to go more into meditation. Do the Ho'oponopono guided meditation, my love. Okay, I have clients all over the world who download it, and they do it every night before they go to sleep, which sets you in the right frame of mind. All right, much love to you. Bravo, bravo. Love you all. I'll talk to you soon. Namaste. Be well.